Welcome, welcome. So basically, I was speaking with Carlos and about how he's been having some tough times to get disconnected a bit from the electronics. He mentioned that he's been, falling to sleep with, listening to some audiobooks, which has definitely helped. And part of it, like what I was telling him, is that we got to do a conscious effort to always be remembering of the things and the habits that we need to be implementing, because a lot of times it's not that we don't have that information, it's just that we don't apply it. And part of it is the very same way in which we understand and we operate through. Like the one subject for this week was in related to mentality, is basically how we react. And that, has to do with for example, when you see that you had to go to work out, you gotta, do something, you gotta, even you have like a life experience or something that you react to understandably. So there's always, to an equal force, there's an equal reaction. I believe that's the third law of Newton. Um, and to it, it is how we decide to make of that. For example, if you're presented with a situation in which there's hardships right now, Carlos, as you're saying, with the, disconnecting from the electronics,
Mhm.
you making the conscious effort to, oppose to that and actually be acting, towards a different path and taking that energy into something else or focusing it, for later usage. It's the best thing that can quite frankly happen to you in regards to, not only rest but also mental clarity. Because here's the thing, a lot of the times, well, there's this famous saying about, I believe it's Queen Victoria II, when she got told late at night that one of her cousins had died. She basically mentioned to the mistress that notice could have waited for the night after. A lot of the times, us seeing and, getting responsive to news, getting responsive to certain stuff that we see that we aren't quite in control of, puts us in a very precautious, very, not precautious, but a very negative situation in which we just get information that affects our mood, affects how we perceive reality, and we don't really have any impact or whatsoever to do with the outcome of that. So, what would be a good recommendation for this? Stay away from any sort of news that,
Mm.
you could check in social media altogether late at night or at evening, close to your sleep time, because giving yourself all those worries when you should actually be focusing on resting so you can then perform better the next day, so you can then overcome, such obstacles, is a lot better. Like, if there's nothing for you to do about something that happens in your life, what does good to you to worry about it? Not that much. And in fact, what you should be focusing on is having clarity to operate and solve that issue the best way possible. So if it's late at night, for example, 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m., 11, the best thing one can do is to make sure that the next day you will have a fully rested and focused mind so you can
Mm.
actually tackle those problems. It makes even logical sense. But here's the thing also, we are not logical beings a lot of times. We operate from emotions. We make decisions based on emotions. We
Mhm.
us as humans altogether. So what exactly do we need to do then? It's always have those constant reminders each and every time. For example, whenever you have something pop in your life, or you're a quite reactive person, always, for example, count to 10, the famous count to 10 before you say something. Count to 10, breathe in, And now that we, now that I mentioned the breathing part, excuse me, there we go. Sorry. Now that we mentioned the breathing aspect, breathing is a very direct form of us to take control of how we can lower down our heart rate and calm our nervous system. So, again, having this small protocol of counting to 10 before you actually say something or make a rush decision, making rush decisions, like how they say, never promise when you're happy, never make promises when you're happy. And but that specifically why? Because you might overpromise. And never curse when you're mad, because you never know what will come out of your mouth and to whom it may affect. So part of that is having this sense of understanding how one operates, how one does. This is not a one size fits all, because what we could be discussing over here may or may not apply to you guys perfectly. Uh, but in the end, we can get, some golden nuggets from it. For the most part, would be to be conscious about our day to day, not go through it in automatic mode. Although the body always tends to go in the energy saving mode, it's just a biological mechanism that it has for survivability reasons, Uh, since we don't evolve as fast as times have evolved, our systems, our nervous system is adapted towards, the old stuff. When we lived in caves where we hunted, and a lot of those reactions, are similarities and just adapted to the current reality. So, what can we do about that specifically? Again, if you are constantly being worried about the future and constantly, also feeling tied to the past, what's going to happen is that you will, quite frankly, not be as present as you otherwise could. That's what happens when a lot of the times we're sharing moments with loved ones. And we're like, we're in the phone, we're worrying about a meeting later, some email, something, and then we remember about some other stuff that happened from the past, and we're not present. We're not there. Even though we're physically there, we're not there. And even though this doesn't directly have to do, with fitness, like right away, there's a lot of it that will indeed impact how you perform in your day to day and everything associated to your overall health. So, part of that is having that consciousness on your day to day. What practices do we always recommend to our clients? It's just something real simple. Whenever you go day to day and you don't really have like any sort of, ingrained in your consciousness about what happened before, you weren't really living that day. You were just flowing through it. So, what can be done about that in order for you to not only improve your habits, but also counteract the negative habits that build up? Something real simple. Just note down, and I mean note down with a pen and paper. Ironically, Apple Pen here. I don't have one up to my hand. Uh, but basically, not type it, but write it down. Whenever you write, you are basically employing three areas of the brain. It's the motor fine skill that recruits the most areas of the brain, which ends up imprinting everything that you write when you do it with consciousness and not like, for example, I don't know if you guys did this, but whenever you took notes at school, college, university, and then you came back home and rewrote those notes with your own words and your own writing, that really imprints all that knowledge in your conscious and subconscious mind. So that's one way in which you can imprint in your brain knowledge. And what you can do, what you do is you simply each and every day note one. to three, both positive and not negative, but areas of opportunities that you had on this day. So, what does this do? This not only allows you to have a registry of that is really easy to make. You can do this in under a minute, real easy in a small paper. You can even do it right now. And what you do is you note down 1 to 3 both positive habits or actions that you did this day, even though if it's as simple as, send my proposals or I had this meeting with a client, it still adds up. It's still recognition to yourself. So what you do is that you add 1 to 3 positives and you add 1 to 3. Again, we don't phrase them as negatives, but we phrase them as areas of opportunity. Because quite frankly, if you had a bad experience in life and from that you learned and then you applied and you got into something better, that thanks to that bad you know action or that bad event, you ended up on the positive. Was it really a bad event? Was it really bad that she left you? Was it really bad that this happened? Was it really bad that this client said no and then this other much better client said yes? You know, it's all about perspective, basically. So, whenever you are able to have this positive positioning of whatever happens that you perceive as negative, it gives you an area of actually being able to improve yourself day to day and not just stay stagnant. And again, it's not like you have to improve a lot each and every day, just one small positive, 1% each day. Like Eduardo knows from the book Atomic Habits, just 1% each day, and you had 36th timed yourself by the end of the year. So basically, with this small and easy practice that you can do at the end of your day, this conscious journaling, and it's really fast, again, something you can do under a minute, you will be able to not only get stuff out of your mind, because a lot of the times we know that we have worries, we have, events that have happened, stuff that we want to share with somebody, just share somebody to listen. A lot of times in printing those thoughts into paper, it gives them life and it drops a lot of the weight, the psychological weight that you have on your shoulders onto the paper. And now you're able to breathe a lot more. When you're actually able to also dissect how you're feeling about something, you will understand what stems from that and how and what you can do in order to fix it.
Hmm.
Those are really, really great tactics for us to improve each and every day. This is part of the mentality aspect. This is part of, the basis for everything. Because both for work, both for your own health, your own fitness, this is the cornerstone mentality. It's all in the mind, quite frankly, as they say. Jonathan, I don't know if you have anything to add.
So, good evening, guys. So we're talking about habits, right? I kind of
Uh,
kind of
we
like
we can't really hear you a lot, Jonathan. I don't know if you're able to. Perhaps it's catching the audio from the car.
what about now?
There we go. Now we can hear you a lot better.
All right, all right. So again, good evening, guys. Thank you for joining today again. So I kind of connected, kind of late. We're talking about habits right now, right?
Pretty much just like the mentality aspect, and also habits,
Uh-huh.
like the correlation between those two.
So yeah, just like some of storytelling today, Frank and me were talking to a client that just joined Selfie, and we saw something about him that he thinks a lot of how much he has tried, how much he has done to get results actually. And we could see the frustration on him because of that, because of thinking the enormous path that he must follow to actually get those results. And And that's what's happened when first you don't have a guidance to resolve it, when you don't have an structured plan to actually get the results and become actually the person you need to be to get this on your life, to get this as part of your identity. And second, and because of the mindset that we have towards for chasing goals and figuring out how to become a version of me that can actually get those results and keep it. So that's something that we today we're working on with this guy. We need to talk that to him. We to said that to him. We need to start working on our identity. Instead of saying I'm fine, instead of just saying I'm going to eventually get this, those things that we set for the future are never happening. Actually, we must start now to start getting this as part of our identity and say, I'm not someone that is trying. I'm someone that is doing it right now, and that's what I am. So pretty much, pretty much that's something that we work on with other guys as well, and also it's something that we hope it's very useful for you as well.
Yeah, that is quite frankly one of the first steps, like making the internal work. A lot of times, before it comes to reality, it has to be here in the mind. Everything, everything, every invention, every design, every proposal, every project, everything was inside the head. So doing the mental work is quite frankly, like as you guys just heard, we had this client that he has tried everything and he knows everything to the tip. He has always failed. But we noticed something simply. He never did the internal work, the mental work. When you don't do the mental work, you can know everything. You can know all the what's and whatnots. But if you're not that identity of what you want to become already, again, you gotta already be who you want to become. It's gonna be a lot harder. It's gonna be just a lot harder. But like how we say in here in Costa Rica, tiene que creérsela. When you when not even you believe in yourself, like how can you expect somebody else to believe in yourself? Like as simple as that. That's basically how it is. And the same goes for fitness. The same goes for careers. The same goes for family life. And I mean, you guys could disagree or agree with me. In fact, I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think about this?
Fake it till you make it. It's probably an extension of that. But yes, that is that is true for me. Yes. So if you want to be there, so just trust in yourself because you're going to have the quality and the expertise, and even if there are gaps in that process, is fake it till you make it. And it's probably what I'm doing right now. It's like with the exercises and everything. It is just I mean, I am not someone that likes doing exercises,
Mm-hmm.
but I need it. And it's a fact that I just need to start doing it.
Don't worry,
Once
Carlos.
I start,
Jonathan and me,
boom.
60% of the times, we don't want to work out too. So we're on that boat too. At least the majority of the times.
And no, and it's the same for everything. So if I want to study, if I want to do this, it's uh, talking about Newton and laws is masses try to stay still. So it's the nature. So it's a mind fact. It's an effort to make it move. So yes.
It's a conscious effort. And like a lot of the times, it's more extenuating than the physical effort. Going through a whole set of traumas, limitations of why. Like, here's another interesting aspect. You know what's crazy? You guys, there's a lot of people that they say that they deserve the physique that they want, that they deserve uh, to be healthy, they deserve, to live longer. But quite frankly, whenever you dissect them internally and you understand more about them, they don't really have that deservingness on their own selves.
Mhm.
That is something that's the hardest stuff to deal with, because not only are you battling with a lot of factors that are affecting someone, and holding them back in any subject for the matter, not only fitness, but you're also battling against that very same person. And
Mhm.
guess what? Especially in fitness and taking care of your health. This is not a me versus Jonathan versus you versus Eduardo versus Juanito versus whoever versus John versus Jackson. This is a Carlos versus Carlos. This is Eduardo versus Eduardo. This is a Jonathan versus Jonathan. This is a Frank against Frank. It's only the person that we see in the mirror, the one that can hold us back from reaching a lot of the stuff. Because again, you know, the human brain, what's crazy about the human brains? I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I've heard about this. Basically, the human brain has no recognition about or this discerning about what is real and what isn't. So you could quite frankly set yourself and like hypnotize yourself towards believing that you are actually someone else, or that you have already achieved a goal of yours. And you will innately act in that way. And what happens a lot of times? Again, when you've adopted the identity of who you want to become, it's a lot easier to implement all those habits of people that are like just like that. So it's a lot of internal work. Like we were telling this client of ours that just uh, inscribed today. It's a lot of internal work, and a lot of that internal work, it's doing the reps. It's daily, daily in, daily out, and being conscious about that. And that's, yeah, the consciousness. It's all about being present, especially in a society in which we live in, which every single time we live, even though we're more connected, we're the most disconnected ever. That's
Mhm.
basically how it is. That's pretty much everything that I had for tonight. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Jonathan.
No, it's great to have you here again. We see the constancy that you have had to these calls, and also if you believe that there is somebody that can get some advantage from this, go ahead and join the next call as well.
Carlos or Eduardo, do you guys have anything that you'd like to share? Any other questions, concerns?
No, no question to me right now, or you said pretty much everything as I would say too.
How about you,
No,
Carlos?
no, thank you very much. I mean, I made a decision just recently because, well, the things I mentioned like 15 days ago, like changing and probably redesigning the way I'm living and getting involved with people, with teams, and deciding to take more ownership of my fitness and my future in general. So it's great to find out that it's not alone. It's not only me getting struggles or with all this. It's nice to have a team and having to be able to talk with you guys. And so it really it's a booster. I mean
Mhm.
to continue doing it. Otherwise, it was quite easy to just get back to the couch, to the couch, and watch TV all day long. So it's better to be here.
That
Awesome.
that is part of the whole journey. You're like it's way easier whenever you have a support group and somebody that listens to you and actually understands and has been through all that, and all other people, share with other people. That's basically what these calls are for. This
Yeah.
is to share with both the self-it and also the freelance navigator community. And
Mhm.
so that, you know, we basically work with the same type of people, you know, tech professionals. And we want to do that. We want to share more about that, share more value with you guys, have this, you know, be a moment where you guys can open up, where we can also open up, because I've opened up pretty much about everything that, you know, I've been through this journey, and how my insecurities, how my rejections from women at the point sparked a lot of what I had done. And not only, it's not that I did it for them, because I ended up going through the mental work, again, the mental lab, the mental work, like what they say. And quite frankly, it's just for the sake of sharing and making other people, you know, have the same feeling. So I'm really glad that you were seeing it that way, Carlos. And you guys are more than welcome to come each and every week over here where we share this space. And also, thank you guys for coming tonight. That'll be another weekly group call from Selfit and Freelance Navigator. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day and take care. Ciao,
See
ciao.
ya.